And when we are born into an entrenched system, such as Carnism, we inevitably absorb that system's logic as our own. In other words, we internalize Carnism. We all learn to look at the world through the lens of Carnism. And Carnism uses a set of defenses that distort our perceptions of meat and the animals we eat so that we can feel comfortable enough to consume them. For example, Carnism teaches us to see animals as objects so that we learn to refer to this turkey as something rather than someone. Or we learn to call this little baby an it, a thing, rather than he or she. Carnism teaches us to see animals as abstractions, as lacking in any personality or individuality of their own, and instead simply as abstract members of a group about which we've made generalized assumptions, right? A pig is a pig, and all pigs are the same. And like other victims of violent ideologies, we give them numbers rather than names. So for example, I'm going to share a quote with you from a meat cutter, a butcher that I interviewed, who said this to me: "I don't think of farmed animals as individuals. I wouldn't be able to do my job if I got that personal with them. When you say individuals, you mean as a unique person, as a unique thing with its own name and its own characteristics, its own little games that it plays? Yeah? Yeah, I'd really rather not know that. I'm sure it has it, but I'd rather not know it." And Carnism teaches us to place animals in rigid categories in our minds so that we can harbor very different feelings and carry out very different behaviors toward different species. A female meat eater I interviewed told me that she eats all different types of meat, chicken and pork and beef, and when I asked her if she also ate veal, she stopped. She got quiet, she looked very offended. And what she answered was, "Let's just say I came to your house and you told me that I had just eaten veal. I'd probably vomit. Like I have to get that out of my system." And when I asked her why, she said, "Because veal comes from a baby. I can't eat a baby." When we look at the world through the lens of Carnism, we fail to see the absurdities of the system. So we see images like this or like this. I mean, somebody mutilating their own body to be eaten. And we learn to take no notice rather than take offense. Or we see images like this or this, and we learn to laugh rather than cry. If you think about it, Voltaire was right. If we believe absurdities, we shall commit atrocities. And Carnism is but one of the many atrocities, one of the many violent ideologies that are an unfortunate part of the human legacy. And although the experience of each set of victims will always be somewhat unique, the ideologies themselves are similar. It's because the mentality that enables that violence is the same. It's the mentality of domination and subjugation, of privilege and oppression. It's the mentality that causes us to turn someone into something, to reduce a life to a unit of production, to erase someone's being. It's the might makes right mentality that makes us feel entitled to wield complete control over the lives and deaths of those with less power, just because we can, and to feel justified in our actions because they're only savages, women, animals. It's the mentality of meat. So if we fail to pick out the common threads that are woven through all violent ideologies, then we will be doomed to recreate atrocities in new forms. And this is why it's so important, especially as advocates, that we get people to incorporate all oppressive systems into their awareness, into their analysis, including Carnism. Eating animals is not simply a matter of personal ethics. It's the inevitable end result of a deeply entrenched oppressive ism. Eating animals is really a social justice issue. And I can't express strongly enough how important I think it is for vegan advocates to work to get eating animals included on the map, onto the map of social justice issues, so that we can all work together. Martin Luther King said, you might be familiar with this quote, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. He recognized the interconnectedness of oppressions. And justice anywhere is also a threat to injustice everywhere. And justice can be practiced everywhere, including on our plates. So the question for us is, how do we get people to practice justice on their plates? So knowing what we know about Carnism, this brings us to the second question.